any sufficient technology is indistinguishable from magic. So said by Arthur C. Clarke. So today on I'm Blown, where Atul and me normally talk about that consumer oddity and we pull the thread on that one, but today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go back in our time and think about all tech that we thought, at least the first time we used, was magic. So it's going to be a fun conversation. We're going down memory lane. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, Atul.
Absolutely. And we often talk about how in our generation we've gone from technology which was very, very basic to, if you consider AI and what AI is doing today, it's gone multiple fold as we know. And when I was a kid, television was not tech.
Yeah.
Television was every day because we were lucky enough to have a television from a very young age. But what was interesting for me, something as simple as being able to watch football on television was tech that was magic. And the way it used to land for me at that time when I was a child was that some cousin would come from London and bring a VHS videotape, right? And that would have what was then the English League. And we could actually watch matches or highlights of matches, which not only didn't we know anything about, today you can say, oh, you know what, I'll watch it deferred live and I won't see the result and I won't check my phone and everything. That time you had nothing to check the result. The match you were watching first time, you had no idea what happened in that match because you had no other way of knowing news pretty much because there was no internet. So to me, that was magical.
Wow.
To put that cassette in and watch it for the first time was absolute magic. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about. So that moment of, I would never think VHS cassette was magic.
Absolutely.
But the fact that you're a football fan and that cassette came in and watched it.
For me, that was magic.
Interesting. Speaking of cassettes, I used to come down to, I used to go to Kerala for, summer vacations. I used to be there for a month and a half. There was a VHS player there, but there was no VHS library in that small town. The VHS cassettes used to come from about 100 kilometers away, another town altogether. There's this man who used to walk with these 2 bags and he used to come once in 2 weeks and drop those bags and say, boss, pick the cassette you want. And we used to pick 2 cassettes and those 2 weeks, all we used to do is to watch
the same one.
But that person coming was, it's interesting. So that's it. In fact, I would never have thought VHS cassette was magic for you. But that's...
that time it was. And I think there is, and now that we've started talking about it, I can probably think of examples right through the journey of the last 40 odd years where it was VHS tapes. And then, of course, cable TV came.
Yeah.
And even before cable TV, there would be a half-an-hour program on a Sunday which kind of recapped European football. So you saw just the goals, 5 goals, 8 goals, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, cable TV and then the internet. And, of course, today it's football on demand. At each point of time, for me, that technology is magic.
Wow.
But what's interesting is that from a I'm blown, this is unbelievable. Oh my God, I can actually do this every time, It then becomes par for the course.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's a new technology. And the technology for the first time is magic, but eventually it becomes something run of the mill.
Yeah.
That's to be expected, I suppose.
I mean, and Netflix is, for me, was the first time was magical. We were all used to appointment viewing where we had to block the 8 to 9 in the evening, or for that matter in India, you have to block the 8 to 10 in the morning on a Sunday to watch TV, to now having, complete control of what you want to watch, when do you want to watch, and how do you want to watch.
And more often than not, you spend most of your time figuring out what to watch and you end up not watching anything.
Absolutely.
And that's the way, that's what they always say about technology, that the best technologies are the ones that start like magic.
Correct.
And then become plumbing.
Right?
Become absolute bad. Look at Google Maps, for example.
Yeah.
The first few times I used Google Maps, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Not only in terms of maps,
Yeah.
which in a city like Delhi and a country like India, in any case, is very, very hard to do. But add to that the layer of traffic.
Yeah.
It just becomes completely magical. And it still happens to me sometimes. I often, I'm sitting in the car and following Google Maps and thinking, this is just magic. This is nothing short of incredible.
No, it's some crazy crowdsourced information that they collect in split seconds, and then those split seconds you are given that information that is not 45 minutes, it's going to take you 50 minutes. It's to me still magical when you really think about it. It's table stakes, but if you really sit back and think about it, I still think it's magical that this technology exists.
But it's also generational, Sid, in the sense that I'm sure your boys must be thinking about the same way. For them, GPS is plumbing.
It's plumbing.
There's no magic involved there. Or for that matter, with my son, we often watch football, and he's like, okay, let's watch the highlights.
What's the big deal?
And it's there. There's no concept of VHS tape and watching it again, etc., etc. So it's different for different generations, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the other one that always drives me nuts, it still does, is music recognition. Shazam.
Oh,
the first, it always used to be our common friend Rishabh. He's the magic guy on music, right? The song comes on, within first 3 seconds he knows what song it is.
correct.
And those used to be the amazing moments. You're trying to sit there and say, what song is that? You're guessing, I'm guessing, it's all over. Now it takes 1 second. And the first time I used Shazam, I was like, how? How is music having a fingerprint here? But it's absolutely incredible. And of course, it just goes into your iMusic or your Spotify and all that. And sometimes life's too easy.
Life's too easy. Shazam's not intuitive to me. So we're sitting in a car and suddenly, on Spotify, a song comes. Whatever. Let's say we're sitting in a restaurant, a song comes over. Sakshi and I are chatting and figuring out what song is. My son just takes out the phone, Shazam on, and oh yeah, that's easy. Why are we even thinking about what song it is?
But it's incredible. I find music recognition an absolutely magical moment every time.
No, it's a good point.
Brilliant,
quick commerce. The first time when someone told you, this is a review meeting, okay? So we have a bunch of foreigners who came down and sat in the review meeting, and we were literally wanting to show off. We said, listen, what do you want? You want an epigamia? Sure. Click this button, and we kept the phone next to him, and he could see it's going to reach in 8 minutes. He did not believe it. He said, no way, this is not going to come in 8 minutes. I've been to India 10 years from now. It's the general trade store. It's a Kirana store. It's not going to come in 8 minutes. And he's seeing it. We actually video that. He's seeing it, and then ding dong. The thing reaches in 7 minutes. For that person, it's magic.
Absolutely.
For me, the first time I used a quick commerce app was magic. We have visitors coming from the US who normally shop in these big box stores. They shop once a month. They go pantry load.
The whole habit is
It's different. Yeah. But for us, hey, listen, you know what? We're missing soda for our drinks. You know what? Click and it'll reach you in 8 to 10 minutes. That's magic to me.
The same thing we were doing with pitchkaris with Holi yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Our son wanted a different pitchkari because his friend wanted. It came in 15 minutes and Holi was seamless.
It's seamless.
It's just crazy. Yeah, quick commerce has changed. It's actually changed the way we think. And again, generationally, it's a huge difference because. And I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of months back, and he was telling me that with his child who's about 18 or 19, the difference is not only in getting what you want, but not planning anymore.
Yeah.
Because now you can get what you want when you want it. So why bother planning? I'll just figure it out when I get to there. Now that's a mindset shift from the way we used to think, right? Everything had to be planned, tuck. If you're going for a presentation, better get all your ducks in line and all of that, because otherwise it's going to be, you're going to have last moment. You can't get what you want.
Yeah.
Right? That was always it's changing.
We should do a separate episode about quick commerce and how it's reduced the cognitive load and why I think it's going to be very strong, but a separate episode on that one. The other one, which is obvious, which is AI and the use of AI chatbots.
Right.
That was magical. And, I'll tell you when I really found it magical, and this is sort of a personal story. I used an AI chatbot, but I used it like you use Google, right? You want some information, you get it.
True. That was the first level which all of us kind of
that's how I was using it, and I didn't find it magical. I said, okay, now just Google has come onto a different platform and so on.
It's
more intelligent. But the first time I found it magical is when Sakshi called and said, listen, I'm loving ChatGPT. In fact, I don't need to ask you any question anymore. I'm getting all my answers from ChatGPT. So I said, wow, that's interesting. And I felt a little insecure, to be honest. I said, she's not going to ask me these questions. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, and by now the ChatGPT knows me, knows that I train, I do consulting. So I said, hey, I have a problem. Oh, sure. Tell me what training and consulting problem you want me to solve. I said, no, this is personal. So then he says, oh, please tell me. I said, my wife is now decided to rely more on you than me. And guess what the ChatGPT did? It said, oh, that's terrible, Sid. I can only imagine what you're feeling. Imagine your wife relying on a complete stranger, let alone me. I can totally understand what you're feeling.
Oh boy.
Then ChatGPT says, but what do you think she's relying me on? I mean, or relying on me more than you? And I tell ChatGPT that I think you're being more objective and your answers are more direct, whereas my answers are more conceptual, and she prefers more direct answers rather than, this also and that also. And he says, oh, I get that. Some people might need that. But remember, Sid, she's married to you, not to me. Not to me. That was magical. That it's not intelligence. The ChatGPT to some extent was reasoning with me. And that was magic to me.
And there were some feelings going on.
There's some feelings going on.
A bit scary,
A bit scary.
but interesting.
It's a bit scary, a bit scary. But yeah, it was magical to me.
The other one that I find has changed a lot, and I was thinking about it a couple of months back, is the way we travel now, especially traveling to places you've never been before. If you traveled 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, you'd have to carry a guidebook with you.
Yep.
Right? You would buy, we are going to XYZ country. So you've got this guidebook and you're looking through it, wherever we're going to go, what are the places we need to see, etc., etc. Language used to be a big factor. Right? You would go to a particular country, or you know what, if I'm going to Spain, for example, at least I should know how to greet people. At least I should know how to ask for a bottle of water, etc., etc., etc. Google Maps, of course, changes a lot in terms of if you're driving, etc. Google Translate, no problem with language now.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a magical technology in terms of how you can interact with people whom you've never spoken to before, in a language you didn't even know existed till probably a couple of months back. Guidebooks, everything's available on the internet.
Correct.
Guidebooks are available on the internet. What people have experienced, you can do your research, pre-research, during research. You can go off on a tangent when you're traveling. The whole experience of what you're doing because of 1, 2, 3 technologies is just changing entirely.
Yeah.
And to me, the first time I use, and I'm sure you've used it as well, and you point the phone at a particular signboard in a different language, and it just appears there in your own language, it is truly magical.
It's magical.
See, because otherwise you just keep saying, oh, but it's this kind of board about this kind of shop. Maybe it means this, and you'll ask someone and they'll tell you. It's just completely changed the way you travel.
I agree.
I found that quite incredible.
No, I agree. That's totally agree. And I think the last year when we went to, where did we go last year? I can't recollect. We went to Switzerland. And in some restaurants, there was just German or there was stuff, right?
Right.
And my son just takes out my phone and puts it there. So this is the menu, guys. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I agree. What else? Is there anything else that sort of you could look back?
Basic. I mean, look at what we're doing right now in terms of we're just, recording as we speak. Something that would probably require a full-on tech base and a studio and everything. And that brings me to the one about video calling. The first time we did video calls, I don't even know.
Skype. Was it Skype?
Yeah, that was probably the first one. And then there used to be, I don't know, Skype, of course, died its own death. But FaceTime killed it, I assume, at some level. And of course, now WhatsApp video calling. Video calling is today is just
table stakes.
It's absolute table stakes. It's just regular. And it's being used in practical ways as well. A plumber showing you what he's doing, or you're ordering a particular type of shirt or whatever, and they take you through the options, etc., etc. So that's very practical. But at an emotional level, and I see this pretty much every weekend when my parents are talking to my brother who's in the US, and it's just changed the experience. There used to be the 9 STD booths, and we've been through those. But video calling has changed not just communication, but emotional connection.
That is so true.
And it starts at a magical level, but like you said, table stakes today.
I heard this amazing story about, and it was not on a podcast, I can't remember. This guy was talking about, this relationship he was in. And he used to always call his girlfriend at night, and she used to call him.
Right.
But whenever she calls him on video. And after a point in time, he found that very irritating. He found that to be very invasive. So he said, listen, we don't need to video call every point in time. But she explained to him that I find that a video call, my sensory integration is much higher. That means I'm seeing you. I'm not able to visualize you. I have a certain incapacity to visualize what you are. And I need to visualize it. And you're right. It's just not technology, but it really hits an emotion.
Emotional connection. Yeah.
Very interesting.
You know, which brings me to, and we've been talking about multiple examples
Yeah.
from our personal lives. So, and we've also seen so many other different types of technologies which we can't call magic. I remember the early touchscreen phones before the iPhone, and they weren't really magic, right? They were touchscreen. We used to have those little styluses that a lot of people used to use, and there used to be a brand called iNate, I remember, that used to make these phones. There were few of those brands, right? Pre-BlackBerry or parallel with BlackBerry. Why weren't they magic? Right? So I mean, I'm just trying to figure and bring some order in my head. When does tech become magic? It definitely reduces friction. One of the problems with the touchscreen phones was you ended up never being able to do what you were able to. The iPhone was first time was just magical, right? A lot of people you just touched it and it actually worked.
Yeah.
And everybody said this is not going to work in terms of the keyboard because we at that point we were all used to Blackberries, their physical keyboards. And eventually, I mean, today all of us are tapping on screens, right, with the keyboard. So it's the lack of friction, and I don't mean physical friction. I mean friction in experience. Right? So that's one. What else goes into text transcending and becoming magic?
I think the fact that it's an interesting point. So the stylus was probably there. There was a touch phone, there was a stylus, but that never really took off. For that matter, there could be many reasons. But I don't think we ever found it to be magical.
Yeah.
But we found the touch phone to be magical. The fact that you could use your thumb, move things around, a lot more flexibility. So it did, I think, some degree of friction, some degree of what they call isomorphism, which is your existing behavior being inputted onto a new technology, is right. So, for example, while Google is what it is, the existing behavior of chatting with Google, which is nothing but AI chatbot, which is magical to us. That we're chatting with another person, whereas Google is impersonal. So, yeah, there is some degree of friction and existing habits that people naturally, seamlessly get into tech.
And I think this may sound a little silly, but it's got to work. Imagine using Google Maps if it didn't work.
Of course.
Right? So, I mean, magical,
Yeah.
something appearing brilliant or mind-blowing is great, but it must from there go into consistently, dependably work. And I mean, whether you take Google Maps or music recognition, all these things just work every time.
Just work.
Hardly ever do you get into a situation where it's good. Yes, of course they do, but it's a real exception.
Got it.
So I think the fact that it's utility and it really works is absolutely crucial.
I agree. I'm going to throw another one, which is a more marketeer's perspective, right?
Right.
We all know Google, right? So millions of users actually search for shoes, cosmetics, tell me a diet plan. They're searching. There are millions of searches at every point in time. And Google essentially gets all these searches, and then they go to advertisers and say, listen, I've got user behavior. Right. Now you can invest behind that user behavior. So if someone is searching for a shoe, you can show your ad at that point in time. The magic behind it is that, Atul, today, for example, you take your phone and you're searching for a shoe. In milliseconds, Google has managed to get the auctioned price from the manufacturer and then show the manufacturer's ad in milliseconds. Absolutely. To me, as a marketer, that's magical.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think, and this is equal amounts magical and equal amounts a bit scary. From a consumer's point of view, because how much am I really making free choice at that point?
Absolutely.
But I do agree. I mean, because and we've lived through it, right? Because when the internet came up, speeds were obviously what they were. And this would be unthinkable. Even 10 years ago, this would be unthinkable, the kind of speed you're talking about. And again, the fact that it works every time, right? That's incredible for me. And that's what makes it magical. And why do consumers, largely speaking, not bother too much about this, right? Is because it's to their benefit to the extent it's serving me most of the time. Right? So that's incredible as well. Slightly different context, but I always used to tell my team that a great idea is one where when you see it for the first time, you think, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, yeah?
That's an incredible idea. I always, why didn't I think it's so simple? The same is so true for a lot of things that in technology work, right? If this works here, why doesn't it work there? Right? So, for example, on deliveries. Now, if Google Maps is so cool, pre-quick commerce and pre-home deliveries,
Yeah.
one would say, but then why can't they just get it to me within minutes?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it's now layered on.
Got it.
Right? So I find that incredible that you look at something and say, and normal people like us say that, but this works here, why can't it work
there?
So that really makes the magic
Probably.
when you start taking it for granted.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
this is like you keep saying, table stake. It's a given.
Yeah.
Let's move on from here.
Yeah. And some things are magic because you did not know existed. Now, let me take you to another world. Okay. Over the last 5 years, we've been living this through newspapers and podcasts about the driverless car. Right? Now, it seems absurd, but there are now driverless cars in San Francisco. We've heard about it. We've now lived what's happening, who's doing what. But even after knowing that this exists, I'm not sure if you've gone, but I've not gone in a driverless car.
Not yet.
But imagine yourself in a driverless car. What would be your reaction?
It would straight away be, oh my God, this is metal. It would be a little bit, not fear, but definitely apprehension.
Yeah, of course.
Also for, I guess, at least for me, the kind of personality type I am, losing control is a big factor. Losing control to nothing is an even bigger factor. But definitely, I would be apprehensive. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it would definitely be an I'm blown moment. Let's put it that way.
I really want to do that. Sitting in a car and there's just the wheels are moving and you're looking up and like looking at the wheels.
Fascinating.
And then
how much ever you've seen videos on YouTube, but that experience will be awesome.
Yeah. The only caveat I have to magic and technology is that very often people believe that, when some great technology that comes in, it will just sweep the world.
Yeah.
But I've often seen, and AI is one of them, and the other day ChatGPT said there are over 10 crore users, or was it 20 crore, some obscene number of AI users in India. And it's truly an effective tool, make no mistake about it. So I did this research in a class that I was conducting. I asked how many people use AI. Needless to say, 99.1% of people were using AI. Then I asked how many use AI and also use Google. 70% say they use both. So very often, while there's magic in technology and you expect it to sweep the world, we're still fundamentally human. We are humans. We are always creatures of getting a second opinion, right? So even when I'm in an Uber and the Uber's driving, I still double check whether this is the right route through my maps, right? So interesting. Point there. So while there's magic that's happening, but we are human, and therefore we will toss between technology as well. What else? Anything else that was exciting and interesting?
Well, I'm sure if we started digging, we'd find a few more. But this has been a great conversation in terms of bringing back memories of football on VHS tapes and other such magical moments of the past few years. Yeah.
I'm going to take one last one, which is off technology. Well, you could say not technology in its truest one. We just finished Holi. And in the past, Holi used to fill each balloon, tie it up.
Right.
Now they have this contraption. I don't know if you've seen it.
Don't even say it.
This is an amazing contraption, which
Really?
it's 50 balloons tied to one little nozzle, and all you have to do is fill that up. And once the 50 balloons get filled, and then you just pull it down, it ties by itself. To me, that was magical.
Really? I didn't know about this. I have to see this.
See this one.
Yeah, you know who would love it? Our kids would love it.
They love it.
Contraption.
They love it. So, wow, what a nice episode.
Super
There are so many more that I can think of, but this has been exciting and a fun episode to
And a
bring to
couple
you.
of things in there, strands in there, I think we can go deeper into in terms of the technologies and, what are the mind-blown moments within that. So, excellent.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this little offbeat I'm blown moment where we went back in time and found out really I'm blown moments with technology. We want to hear more from you. Please do send us your comments, your suggestions. Till then, we'll see you next time.
See you soon.